Hello and welcome to the Late Late Show with Josh Paulison, where I definitely did not forget about doing a video until now. I mean, I actually remembered, but then I forgot again, and then I just now remembered, and it's 11:30 p.m. in my time zone, but in your time zone, I might be like hitting a really good time, and so I'm just gonna go with that. But let's roll the intro. Is this thing on? It is on. You know what else is on? Me? I don't know. I was trying to think of on point or something like that, but I don't know. And since it's so late, that seems a little bit presumptuous of me to say. Anyway, I want to talk about relaxing projects. One of the things that I found is that there are some projects that stress the heck out of me and some that don't. And one of the things that I find, I'm glad this didn't rip paint off the wall. That would have been stupid of me. So I've got this list of my core personal values here, and so there's like different types of values. Like there's religious values, there are values of like, hey, what is my view on people or humanity or different things. In this case, this is much more in the vein of, these are the things that are, I guess I would say, a bit more personal. They're not necessarily ethics centered in this case, but it's really like, hey, what do I value? Like, what do I strive for? And so for me, the list is connection, number 1, 2, growth, 3, creativity, 4, persistence, and 5, change awareness. And so for me, what that looks like is that the first thing is that I need to be with people. And I will say that I don't feel like I've done great on that front lately, but that is my number 1 like need. And then growth, and then creativity, and then persistence, and then change awareness. And what I find is that in a lot of cases, if I start to get stressed, it's because I'm kind of like, I'm letting one go for another, or I might be just like sabotaging one of them, or sabotaging one of the greater things that I value there. But one of the things that I find is that for me, a very stressful project might be one where it's meeting my values, but it's like way above what I can handle at a moment. So like for now, I would say that a lot of my growth as far as learning has been at an 11 out of 10 of what I want. I want growth. I always want to be learning things. I hate projects where I am not learning. I have been literally bored to tears. And when I say that, I mean I was literally crying because I was so bored. I mean, yes, actual tears. I'm not using that as a metaphor. I didn't realize that that wasn't just a metaphor until that was painful. Anyway, and then I've had projects that I absolutely loved with big groups of people. I loved a lot of theater and such for those kinds of reasons. And then also creativity, where I'm able to, it's not just self-expression, although that's a part of it, but it's the ability to try something different, to do something crazy, to do something that other people haven't necessarily thought or talked about. And then also persistence, keeping going. And that's one of those things where, again, like, that can be pushed to an extent where it's like, oh man, it's hard for me to handle this. But I love persistence. I enjoy the process of persisting. And then change awareness, being aware of what's going on, being aware of different changes. And it might seem like, man, Josh, like that sounds nice, and then change awareness doesn't fit the flow up. Whatever, it's my value list. You don't get to say what it should be. Anyway, it doesn't need to alliterate. That's not probably the right way to use the term, in this case of terms, in this container of many terms. Anyway, sorry, I'm in a little bit of turmoil about my terms at the moment. So the thing is, what I found is that what can be really relaxing for me is a project that is very much focused on one of the other values, but is kind of lessened on another. So for me, one project that feels pretty relaxing is this game jam game, Dan and the Dandy Dandelions. You might be wondering why. What's so relaxing about it? Aren't you still writing code? Isn't your job writing code? Don't you want to go home at the end of a workday and not do what your job is? No, I love my job and I love the things that I do, and you can tell because I still want to do it after I clock out. I may have a problem, but yeah, in this case, the thing is that, yeah, you're picking up dandelions, you're throwing them, and I'm working with an artist and a designer, and it's going to be great. It's a very simple game jam game. We're doing something relatively simple, but the thing is that this used to be hard for me, and for me now, this is easy. And so the thing is that there's the connection aspect of working with other people that's been elevated a bit here, but then the growth aspect, frankly, I'm not going to learn much on the programming side for this project. I might learn a little bit. I'm not saying that there isn't always a way to learn new things, but honestly, I'm like stretched a ton at work. And so I feel like it's nice to have something simple. And for me, this is simple. This is relaxing. Being able to take a project that elevates one of my other values, and I'm like, this one, I value it, but I need a little bit of a break. I need a little bit of breathing room here. It gives me that kind of relaxation. And so, am I working on this project all the time? And I'm like, man, I'm tired. I need to go to sleep. I'm going to work on this project. No, that's not what I'm saying. But there is a restfulness that comes to me from working on something that I already know how to work on, where I've already solved these kinds of problems before. Honestly, like a lot of these, I've solved these kinds of problems. Well, depends on the problems. I want to say dozens of times, but I'm like, that might be that's an exaggeration with some of it. Some of it's being delegated. The designer's doing a little bit of programming, and so some of the stuff that I've done a ton, like they'll be taken care of. But anyway, it's just it's interesting to me seeing what used to be hard and how easy it is now, and then also seeing that what used to be stressful and tense, now I'm like, oh yeah, this is kind of nice. Another thing that I find that I'll do sometimes that can be relaxing and simple is just refactoring. That probably stresses the heck out of some other people, but for me, I'm just like, I'm cleaning up. It feels like I feel better if I wipe down my table. I feel better when I clean up my code a little bit. There's this lightening for me of like, I've made the world a little bit better. I've made my world a little bit more organized, and there's a rest that comes along with that. And speaking of rest, you should get to bed. I don't need to get to bed. I'm an adult. You might be too, but you need to get to bed because it's late. You need to sleep. Get your beauty rest. So I'm gonna let you go before I yap your ear off and you get even more tired than you're pretending not to be. But anyway, yeah, I don't know what to add to that. I think there is one thing I could add to that though. You need to find what kind of projects help you relax as well, because there are projects that will stress you the heck out and there are projects that will relax you. And so there's nothing wrong with taking on an easy project sometimes. For me, Dan and the Dandy Dandelions is the easy project. And I've told the team, like, hey, I know I'm not going to be able to put as much towards this project as some of the other teams will be putting towards theirs. And that's just because of time limitations I've got. But I know that we can still do something great. And there's a bug flying around here and that upsets me. And the other thing is that it's just, it doesn't always have to be this stressful or scary or whatever experience. Just because it's not hard or scary every time doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. In fact, it should be getting easier, and the pieces that you used to do should get easier. It looks like I'm carrying this guy now, moving him. But the thing that keeps things challenging isn't necessarily that the problems are more challenging. Or I'm not phrasing that right. It's not necessarily that the problems that you used to have are still challenging, that facing the same problems is hard. It's that now you have new problems, because once you finish a game project and you're like, I can do that, you're not probably going to want to do the same thing for your next game project. You're probably going to want to do something more ambitious, more difficult, more complicated. You want to stretch the boundaries a little bit. At least I know that's very true for me. And that's where growth is one of my values. And so, yeah, that is what I would say, is find the projects that are fun, that stress you. You always need to be growing, but there's no shame in having a relaxing project that's simple for you. And honestly, I think there's probably a level of health in that, and just being willing to do easy projects sometimes. Now again, I've been bored to tears. I do not want to have a career where I am not always learning. I would hate that. My objective is clear, that I do not want a job where I am not learning regularly. So game dev is a great place for me. Technology in general is a pretty great place for me. Entertainment, yeah, it's important. At least I find that is for me really good. So you need to go to bed. You're getting tired, I can tell, because you're being cranky now. So go use the bathroom, go to your bedroom, shut off the lights. If you can't fall asleep yet, then watch another of my videos on my channel and make sure to subscribe and like. It's terrible. Don't do that if you need to sleep. Actually get sleep. I would rather you sleep than watch my videos. Well, I don't want you to sleep during my videos, but at the same time, if I can provide the ASMR that your soul needs, you know what? This doesn't need to go on. Goodbye.